Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to episodes 4 and 5 of OKKO Let's Be Heroes Season 2. So, there was some fun episodes last time. We had a good amount of Shannon. We had Boxman and Daryl and some movies. Everything was fun, but now we're going to move on and see what these next two episodes have in store for us. So, one thing I want to mention real quick is I don't think it's something I ever really thought about or ever really talked about. I don't know. I might have brought it up in the first season, but KO and his mom, Carol, they're supposed to be black, right? Like, they're clearly people of color. Like, that much is obvious. I'm just wondering because I never really thought about it before for some reason. Or at least I don't think I did. And it's like, yeah, obviously the show has some progressive themes to it. But this show came out like after Steven Universe, I know, but I just feel like it's one of those shows, maybe even earlier shows compared to more recent stuff like Owl House and Amphibia and whatnot that, yeah, I know about being hailed as very progressive and stuff, that had just some good diversity in its main characters and all, just being people of color and stuff. Because we also have Enid, who is black, and we have Rad, who a lot of people I know have seen as black, though with him and, you know, being green and everything, it's not really easy to say. It's not really quantifiable in that way. Or bluish green, or whatever you want to say specifically, but I know there's a lot of people who see him as such. And yeah, it's really interesting, like, because these are our three main characters, and it's like, it's just not something you always see. Like, even in Steven Universe, the main character is white. He's Steven. Like, Star Versus had some progressive themes and stuff in it, and still, you get the same idea. And so on and so forth. A lot of these shows still have that, but it's like, I like seeing a show where all of the main characters, at least our main trio, are people of color, or are seen as such by a good amount of the audience. I think that's really cool. And again, it's just something I've never really thought about with KO and his mom before. It never crossed my mind, because I guess it's not something I tend to really focus on or whatnot. That's not the first thing on my mind when I see these characters. Like, oh, this is like so cool. But it's not like when I first see the characters, it's like I'm not thinking of that, their race and everything. So, but it is cool to think about. And this series has a lot of characters of color, and just a lot of wild designs as well. So it's like this series, I'm wondering if it will go even further with things with progressive ideas and stuff. And there are some queer themes and stuff that I do know come up in this series. So I do know about certain things like that. So I'm really liking this show more and more the more I think about it and the more I watch it. I mean, just even outside of the fun humor and characters and creativity, it's like, it is actually a lot more progressive than you might think just watching it. It may not necessarily be on the same level as something like Owl House, which is like so huge with that kind of stuff, or Steven Universe, but it is there. But either way, I'm excited to get to these next two episodes. For those who are watching, you may remember this past week, we had these issues arise. I made this poll and this video and everything. To put it simply, some issues came up with recording and all, but I think I might have found at least one solution that is seeming to work. So I'm actually recording this the week before, a week, like almost an entire week ago. But yeah, I think I figured out at least a possible solution. So we might not be as in as much trouble. But obviously, again, I'm recording this a while in advance, so I don't know how things are going to be when you actually see this. So obviously, I might have even updated you again after I recorded this at some point previous to this episode coming up. All the time things with like pre-recording shit and all. It's complicated. Just keep an eye out for any more updates and everything, unless it's already been resolved. If it's already been resolved by the point you see this, don't worry about it. But keep an eye out otherwise for more updates and stuff. I'll make sure that everything is figured out. In the meantime, though, we're just going to get this started. So, when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. Episodes. That being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So I'm going to only very briefly talk about this, the first of these two episodes, episode 4, because honestly, it was just kind of there for me. It wasn't bad, but wasn't great either. So the crew has to work together, and they end up taking some training from Joff was one of their names. I don't remember the other, but the army dude and the monk dude, who are best friends and everything. We've seen them before. They were in the film festival and everything, last reaction. So they're teaching them how to be best friends despite their differences. The three of them, KO, Enid, and Rad, aren't quite getting it. And so they end up coming together in the end to stop those two from fighting. But it was all a test. They were pretending to fight in order to bring those three together. And the lesson was that as long as you like combine your skills and talents and bring your own things to the table without trying to fit in with everyone else's, then you can form good friendships and bonds that will last forever. It's a good, fair message. But here's my issue with this episode. Their inability to work together and everything was very clearly brought on by the fact that they just worked a 200-day shift, which obviously completely ridiculous and stupid, but it's okay, KO. So it's like you can kind of forgive that. But the fact is, they just worked a 200-day shift, from what we can tell, completely straight, and are absolutely exhausted, right? That's the main thing that brought this all on. That's clearly the reason they're so short with each other at the beginning of this episode. It's not that they couldn't work together well, normally. They very much could, and we've seen it many times in the past. So this episode kind of doesn't make sense to me in and of its concept. The concept doesn't work when we're literally shown the reason why they're fighting, and it's really not something they have to actually work on, because it's not an issue that is normally there. But then again, I guess maybe it's more normally there since Gar apparently is doing another 200-day sale right after. I don't know. But it's like, it doesn't seem logical in its execution by any means. But let's talk about the really good episode here with the second one. So Enid and Rad are really interested at the beginning of this in how KO feels about his mom and Mr. Gar dating. They ask him, and he's just honest, saying he doesn't know. He's unsure of how to feel, and that's perfectly valid. His boss and his mom dating and everything, like him not growing up with a father and everything, and although he really cares for and likes Mr. Gar, it would still be weird and a little like uncertain for him. So when he finds out that Carol and Mr. Gar are going to go on a date, Enid, and Rad decide to kind of control the date for them. Although everything they kind of end up trying to do ends up backfiring, and Carol and Mr. Gar end up just falling deeper in love because, they love each other and they're really sweet to each other, and they've got amazing romantic chemistry and are just really beautiful people. And it's like, God, I feel so jealous about both of them. Like, I like, I'm mostly jealous of Mr. Gar because I would honestly rather be in his position, and I would love a tough, beautiful lady like Carol. Like, she's just absolutely stunning, super pretty. But anyways, it's like, yeah, they're such a phenomenally cute couple. Like, some people might say it's like overly saccharine to the point of where it's like it's a little bit much, but I'm into the schmaltz. I am super into the schmaltz. That kind of shit is right up my alley. I'm all for it. Get as mushy and gushy as possible, as long as it feels natural. As long as it feels natural and feels right. You can very much make it feel like insincere and whatnot, but they actually made it feel sincere. They made it feel very much like these two, again, have that chemistry with each other to where they would be like this. And both of these characters are shown to definitely be very romantic people. So it's like, yeah, it very much fits. They're super cute together, and they genuinely adore each other. And by the end, although Enid and Rad are a little grossed out by their displays of affection, KO is just, he's perfectly okay with it at the end. He's just come to see that it's a beautiful expression of love, of pure, unadulterated love, and he's all for it. And yeah, I'm all for it too. I think they're actually a genuinely great couple, a genuinely great cartoon couple that I think really deserves a little more attention, because I don't hear people talking about them. Like, I've heard people talking about cartoon couples all the time, and it's like that I don't usually see these two brought up. I don't usually see OKKO brought up in general. So, yeah, it's like, that's really just really cute. And the episode had a lot of fun creativity in it, a lot of wacky hijinks and stuff. Enid as a DJ, Rad as a beautician and everything, fighting the metal sandworm, and just the fact that of the valley they were in. Some stuff was really, admittedly, gross and upsetting, like the honey and olive sandwiches. It's like, ugh. And Carol's complaint, too much honey. It's like that's not the problem. That is not the problem. And maybe it's because I despise olives. Like, olives are one of those foods that I just really hate. And honestly, one of the few foods that I actually straight up hate. They're absolutely disgusting to me. But it's also just like, olives are a pretty savory food. Mixing them, like, sweet and savory can go together sometimes, but olives and honey, it's just like, ew. Nothing about that sounds enticing in any way. Like, that just sounds really fucking gross. Like, ew. But then there was also the eyeball binoculars thing, and it's like, I've said it before, I'll say it again here for those who may be newer or may not have heard it in other videos or whatnot. Anything involving, like, eyeball torture, or anything involving, like, grabbing onto eyeballs or anything like that freaks me the hell out. It is genuinely a huge fear of mine, and it just legitimately upsets me, like, to no end. I've seen horror movies where, like, eyes have been ripped out. Like, there's a movie called See No Evil where that was actually a big thing about it, starring Kane from pro wrestling, funny enough. But yeah, and I've seen other horror movies where eyes have been tortured or stabbed or ripped out or anything. I've seen in various media, even eyes being like stepped on and squished, and it's like just anything involving the eyes freaks me out. I can't even wear contact lenses. Like a lot of people may not know this from watching the channel because I never wear them, but I technically need glasses because my eyesight's not great, like at all. But I never wear them because I don't like the way I look in them. But I can't wear contacts because just even getting my finger near my eye freaks me out. I've tried to wear contacts. I've tried putting them in before, and it's just like it's so scary to me. So it's like seeing these characters, even if it's just animation and obviously goofy, seeing them grab onto their extended eyeballs and squeezing them while holding them. It's just like it is the worst thing. It is so horrifically bad. I just hate it with a passion. Like, I would rather eat 1,000,000 olives than have to deal with that shit. I am just not okay with that at all. Like, God. It's just like, there's just certain things that, like, just really upset people, and that's a big one for me. God, it's just so horrifying and painful, and just, I don't like it. But yeah, this episode nonetheless was still really great and really cute. And again, I'm big with schmaltz. I'm big with the cute schmaltzy stuff as long as it's done right. And this was very much done right. It felt natural. It was believable. The characters are genuinely cute together with great chemistry. It was wonderful. Also, Carol is still very fucking hot. Like, I'm not afraid to say that. Like, I'm into buff girls. She's buff. She's really cutely drawn. I love even the gap in her teeth is super cute. It's just, she's a really great design. Also, she's really thick. Like, seriously. But moving on. Yeah, I really enjoyed these episodes. So, well, at least episode 5 more than 4. But 4 was enjoyable enough. It's not like I'm upset I watched her or I regret watching it or anything. It was just more on the meh scale for me in terms of how good I know this series can be. But it's not the first episode that has been like that for me, and it definitely won't be the last. So tell me in the comments below, what did you think of these episodes of OKKO Let's Be Heroes Season 2, and thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See you all next time.